This month, In the Life jumps on the latest trend as the LGBT nation becomes the it thing in the travel market.
$58 billion a year.
And on Capitol Hill.
Do we truly stand for equal rights?
And at Christmas.
This past holiday season, I came up with a doozy.
And find something missing.
All the way around, these kids are invisible and they're dying.
All this and more on America's gay and lesbian news magazine, In the Life.
In the Life is funded in part by the H. Van Ameringen Foundation. Additional support provided by the Ford Foundation, the Pride Foundation, the Gill Foundation, the Overbrook Foundation, the Ted Snowden Foundation, the Arcus Foundation, the Lily Auchincloss Foundation, the B.W. Bastian Foundation, the Fowler Bombardier Charitable Family Trust, and In the Life members like you.
Welcome to In the Life. I'm Cherry Jones. In a world designed and polished by the Fab Five and charmed by Will and Grace, it seems the LGBT community has arrived. Tonight, in the latest trend, America's gay and lesbian news magazine looks at and beyond this newfound celebrity, questioning queer as witch folk.
You cannot try to rewrite history and to pretend like we don't exist.
Investigating the B word.
I'm the guy that will pick on you and, like, beat your ass.
And introducing the queer eye for the big guy.
Gaining some extra weight, not being, totally gym-toned, became eroticized as healthy.
But first, being a cultural trend is one thing, but in today's world, perhaps the real gauge of a group's it factor is its value as a target market. A major trend blazer in the queer market is the travel industry, which has devised lots of new ways to spend the gay dollar around the country. And in honor of a community on the move, In the Life is resurrecting Out and About and taking it on the road. In recent years, the gay travel market has experienced a tremendous surge, with record numbers picking up their suitcases and plenty of new publications and websites to tell them where to go.
Gay travel is booming. $58 billion a year. That's how much the gay and lesbian travel market is actually worth. So that's a lot of money.
Ed Salvato is the editor of the magazine Out and About, which has no relationship to this series.
Every year, Out and About has published our Editor's Choice Award and, very importantly, a Destination of the Year. In 2002, we bestowed that award on New York City, and the primary reason being the great resiliency New York and New Yorkers have shown since September 11th, particularly in the gay arena.
I started Go after 9/11 because I wanted to celebrate all that was wonderful about New York. We all became very aware of the difficulties of living here, and I realized that this is the largest gay hub for women in the country.
Go NYC, based in Soho, likes to think of itself as the roadmap for the city girl.
I started this magazine to celebrate being gay in New York as a wonderful experience.
I feel like a lot of people who are gay from other parts of the country come to New York because it's a place where they'll be accepted, where there's tolerance and equality, and maybe that's not as available in other parts of the country.
Two guys and two gals walk up to a counter at a hotel, ask for a single bed, no one bats an eyelash. Actually, the bed and breakfast scene in New York is sort of a hidden secret. Most of these are located in or around Chelsea. Typically, the owner lives there, so you can pick his brain about the gay scene, what to do, and that's a big deal for people. Some of the larger hotels that seek out the gay traveler include the W brand. It's sort of big mainstream boutique hotel.
And when gay tourists travel to New York, there's no end of media outlets trying to catch their eye.
Sometimes you feel a little awkward, or some travelers do, asking about, you know, is there a gay bar in the neighborhood? If you're visiting and you may be a little bit reluctant to talk to someone or to reveal that you're gay to the concierge, go online, great place to start. I would also suggest going into our chat rooms, emailing, just IMing people and saying, hey, what should I do tonight? Also, you can pick up some of the local publications easily anywhere.
Look for me, young B, cruising down the west side highway, doing what we like to do.
If I was a gay woman and just arrived in New York, I have a couple of options. Just in Manhattan on a given night, you could party in to the Cubby Hole, Esquilita, Hannah's Lava Lounge, Heaven, Saints, Wonder Bar, Stonewall, Starlight, Ruby Fruit Bar and Grill, Meow Mix, Henrietta's, and that's on like a Monday. Our first priority is to celebrate those that make an effort to court the gay community because they want our business there and because they appreciate us. There is now a perception that we not only have money and have jobs and have leisure time and have expendable income, but we are very brand loyal and we want to put our money with organizations that support us.
One such place is Deborah's Life Love Food.
It's Life Love Food because it's more than just a restaurant. I put my heart and soul into every dish that goes out. I'm openly out about my sexuality, you know, that's lesbian owned and operated. I think there's certainly people that want to come and be comfortable holding hands openly, so it does matter to them.
Gay scene in New York has really expanded beyond Christopher Street. I mean, that's where it all started, you know, decades ago. And in fact, a really great pilgrimage that people make is to Sheridan Square to see Stonewall, to see where the gay movement actually started. But since then, the gay areas have really migrated out north to Hell's Kitchen, east to the East Village, and a lot of gays and lesbians moved to Brooklyn. There's the whole cultural aspect of New York that draws legions of visitors. I mean, whether it's Carnegie Hall or Lincoln Center or the many, many museums. It's really the nerve center of so much. Publishing, fashion, money, business, everything. The first time you visit, or even the 10th time you visit, you walk down the street and you can't believe there's the Empire State Building, or there's the Statue of Liberty, or the clop of horses in Central Park. It's just, it's New York.
There are 25,000 restaurants and bars in this city. There is more theater per square inch than any other city in the planet. You have more ethnic diversity here than any place on the planet. It is a magical city. It can be hell on wheels to live in, but it's always exciting for the gay community.
You're the heart and soul of New York City.
In 1984, Greg Louganis won gold medals at the Los Angeles Olympics in both the platform and springboard diving competitions. At the 1988 Olympics, he again won double gold, making him the first diver ever to win back-to-back double gold medals. And in 1995, Greg came out as a gay man living with AIDS and revealed that he had set that record after he had been diagnosed with HIV. I'm Lesley Gore, and you're watching In the Life.
Based on mainstream media representations, one would assume that the LGBT community is roughly 85% male, 99% white, 0% trans, and 100% waxed and plucked. In the real world, one group has made a lifestyle out of bucking that image. Or perhaps I should say, butching that image.
In San Francisco, in the mid-'80s, after the epidemic hit, these guys were kind of responding or reacting to a number of things. Gaining some extra weight, not being, you know, totally gym-toned, became eroticized as healthy. There was also a very different kind of phenomenon where men were looking for ways to reconnect.
All of our friends had died or moved out of town and said, you know, we've got to start going out. And I walked into the Lone Star, and it was a eureka moment. There were guys that had beards and were bears, looked like me.
Physically, they didn't fit the mold, that they did tend to, you know, be singled out or feel separated out because of their physical appearance.
Yeah, I think the whole bear movement started, you know, because we needed an alternative to what we were seeing in the magazines and everything. Everyone is not like that, and you know, everyone has their certain definition of what they think is beautiful.
If you're wise, exercise all the fat off. Take it off, over here, over there. When you're seen anywhere with your hat off, wear a Marcel wave in your it's your duty to be beautiful. That's right, girls, keep young and beautiful if you want to be loved.
Being a bear is about, being inclusive. So we're trying to bring as many people from the fringe as possible. If you don't feel like you belong to the Chelsea Muscle crowd, you don't belong to any of these other predefined areas in the gay community, you belong to the bears then.
I love bears. The whole community. It's comfortable.
So there's this whole kind of philosophy of bears are about not having attitude. Bears are just kind of laid back, easygoing.
Well, yeah, bears are snuggly. And not afraid to be affectionate.
Bears like to have fun. The reason the club exists is in order to create as many of these opportunities as possible for bears to get together and congregate. We love, love, love to have parties.
Raise your hand if you want to play. It's a fun, social event. It's different than the bars.
Who has my hair?
And the purpose of the game is to get from one end to the other while being blindfolded by correctly answering multiple guess questions. A, play party. B, non-denominational worship service. C, dim sum gobble. D, big whoopee bear in room 832.
C.
We call them the get to know your neighbor games. It seems no pun is too painful. There's a dizzying amount of bear-related puns that I've encountered and used through the years.
One cannot have a cultural identity or community identity without having one's own lingo, and there is a very elaborate bear language or bear slang.
Husbear is like husband. My husbear is back there, looking back there somewhere.
Yeah, husbears has been a very popular term, and my response was, but my partner, he really loves the term.
Woof like woof or woof like, oh?
That means you think someone's hot.
Never underestimate the power of one group to then subdivide itself. And so in the bear community, there are any number of terms: bear, otter, cub, wolf, I've even heard, and everybody has their own definition of them.
Bears are all about having, hairy chests and big beards and a big belly and just being big guys.
Cub generally is often thought of as a younger bear.
Some people are, no, I'm not a bear, I'm an otter, which means you're a slender, physically slender bear, I guess.
Wolf, I hear, and I still haven't figured that one out.
For a while, I went around telling people I was a moose, just for the hell of it.
But then, of course, there's some people who take it very seriously, and then you get this endless tension between, is this person a bear with a small b or a capital B? Where somebody else is, girlfriend, get over it. It's a joke.
We'll get people of all sizes and shapes.
They like to do everything from lift weights to have potluck dinner parties.
Within the first 4 years of this, there were self-organizing bear clubs all over the country. The bear phenomenon went global in half a dozen years.
Well, people come from Australia, Switzerland, Japan.
Kind of parallel to the circuit party scene is a kind of a bear circuit as well, that people travel from place to place and country to country.
These are large gatherings of bears in the hundreds to thousands. As you find up to 1,000 people potentially attend these.
In our consumer culture, that you are a community or you are an identity when you are a niche market. So there was this kind of race to sell product to bears.
Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean the bare.
And I've noticed it's cropping up more and more in mass media.
Hey, Waylon. Who's the bear?
Oh, is that the Mr. Burns you're always talking about?
No, he's nobody. Shut up, Stuart.
Nice to meet you, Stuart.
The media tells us this is what a man is supposed to be, and these are the people who get rewarded in our society. And what is all of that about?
There are some people that they need a little bit of extra help sometimes in finding themselves and becoming part of the community.
The thing about the Bear movement, it's allowed a lot of people who have been disenfranchised from the general mainstream gay population to realize that they're acceptable and accepted, and that's a pretty great thing.
And hairy back, left arm yellow.
Young and beautiful, want to be loved.
Woof.
A visit to the Black, Gay, and Lesbian archives of the Schomburg Center in New York calls into question the pallor of our community's current popular image and reminds us that while major markets and the mass media may have only recently discovered our charms, we've actually been around for quite a while.
Don't you know, we're talking about a revolution. It sounds
I think one of the stereotypes surrounding gay life and black life is that one is only defined by the stereotype of being black or the stereotype of being gay.
Stephen Fullwood is a writer and manuscript librarian at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture. He is also project archivist for an ever-growing collection.
This is the Black, Gay, and Lesbian Archive. An archive is set up to document the recorded history of black lesbians, bisexuals, gays, transgender, same-gender loving, queer, questioning, and in-the-life culture and history.
Fullwood's desire is that black, gay, and lesbian history will become more visible and more accessible to the general public. The 5-year collection phase of the archive kicked off in 2000.
We're in the 3rd year of collecting, and the Schomburg Center has agreed to be the official repository for the archive. And this is to sort of kind of get a really good sense of what's out there, what's been recorded, the magazines, the books, the brochures, the organizational records, photographs, audio materials.
Historian Michael Henry Adams recently guest curated Harlem Lost and Found at the City Museum of New York.
For African Americans, it's been relatively difficult to go back into the past to discover yourself. And for gay African Americans, that minority within a minority, it's been almost impossible.
Adams has done extensive research for his upcoming title, Homo Harlem. Many of his recent interviews speak to the importance of recovering forgotten history.
What I find is when I'm talking to elderly gay people who are people of color, on the one hand, they've been traumatized by their experience of being black and gay, and in many instances of being arrested or threatened with arrest for being black and gay. Even now, when they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, imagine being afraid to declare who you are openly.
Back at the Schomburg, archive contributor Hira Kuti highlights the community's need to reflect on its ever-changing identities.
I think it is a valuable effort that Stephen has made, calling this community to meeting, that old expression of calling the community to meeting, to get us to look at the value that's in our very bones and how we can collect that to create a community conversation about who and what we are.
The Schomburg is already home to the collections of several well-known African-American figures, but the new archive edition allows people to explore the materials with a clearer picture of who the contributing donors were.
It's been a wonderful discovery to see just how diverse this community is. Some of the more rare items in the collection include the first and only 3 issues of Moja, which is considered to be the first black, gay, and lesbian newspaper produced here in New York City in 1978. I also have a full run of BLK, which was produced by Alan Bell out on the California coast. A box has come from Jewel Gomez, who donated photographs and original materials from our own archive to the archive. Samuel Delaney, he's donated his books. Lisa C. Moore of Redbone Press, and editor of Lambda Report, has donated books from her press.
Author, editor Lisa Moore started Redbone Press in 1997 and can attest to the importance of preservation. A devastating fire threatened the future of Redbone and destroyed Moore's personal collection of materials.
And the closer I got to my apartment, I saw these flashing lights. And we passed by, and I see that the apartment that the fire was in was mine. And there was a big black hole where my apartment used to be. And I walk in, and everything is just charred and black.
Her latest project, Spirited, remained viable only because her co-editor had a copy.
There were other pieces that I don't have.
These things are going to disappear without a trace if we don't take the responsibility to document our own history. Imagine American music or American fashion or American dance without the presence of African Americans, American letters and literature without African Americans. But our accomplishments and achievements have been very marginalized. Well, that's been doubly so for African Americans who are lesbians and gays. We need to show that we, too, are a part of what made this nation a great place.
It's necessary for people's survival, for them to know that it's okay to be all of who they are, and be black, and be gay, and be lesbian.
Now that this vital collection is in the protective hands of the Schomburg, the lives of black gays and lesbians throughout the Pan-African diaspora can truly be remembered, reclaimed, and celebrated.
I set up the archive to aid in the preservation of this type of material because it was so limited in scope in certain institutions. My hope is that this information will be used to draw better histories of black gays and lesbians.
If you don't know where you've been, you can't chart a course for where you want to be.
You cannot try to rewrite history and to pretend like we don't exist. We exist, all of us, both the straight and the gay, and people have got to accept that.
Don't you know, we're talking about a revolution. It sounds like a whisper. Don't you know, we're talking about a revolution. It sounds like a whisper.
Our current notoriety has also placed gay issues in the throes of America's presidential debates. In the Life has invited all candidates to discuss their plans for queer America in our new series, Campaign 2004. This month, Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Presidential hopeful Dennis Kucinich recently traveled to New York City, where he spoke to a packed room at the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgendered Community Center.
Thank you. Congressman Kucinich's support of equal rights and civil rights for the LGBT community is unsurpassed by any presidential candidate. His overriding philosophy is that same-sex couples and opposite-sex couples should be equal in the eyes of the law, including marriage. Presidential candidate, Congressman Dennis Kucinich.
It's great to be here this afternoon with you and to talk to you about the mutual concerns which we have for this community and for our nation. I have always been a strong supporter of the rights of gays and lesbians and bisexuals and transgendered people. I think that the whole range of issues in our society that need to be addressed, that relate to ending discrimination, are issues that are felt most keenly by gays and lesbians and bisexual and transgendered people. And those issues relate to discrimination in housing, discrimination in employment, access to health care. And by addressing those issues, you address the issues of the entire society.
Kucinich finds the recent Massachusetts marriage decision particularly encouraging.
The decision of the court creates a context in our society where we can ask, what does America stand for? Do we truly stand for equal rights, for equality of opportunity? This community creates the opportunity for America to heal in a profound way.
Hi, Dennis Kucinich. Dennis Kucinich.
Elected to Congress as an Ohio representative in 1996, Kucinich, now the leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, challenges the notion that a progressive candidate is unelectable.
I got elected to the mayor of Cleveland, defeating a Republican incumbent. I was elected to the state Senate, defeating a Republican incumbent. I was elected to the House of Representatives, defeating a Republican incumbent. Now, how is it that I've been able to do that? Because my politics address people's practical aspirations. And my politics don't separate people. We have over $1 trillion for tax cuts to those in the top bracket. And yet, when you talk about the basic needs of America, housing, health care, education, jobs, oh, we don't have money for that. That's the story. But the only reason why people will vote or even care to is that the message has to respond to their practical aspirations.
A lot of Democrats and a lot of politicians in general just completely marginalize this community. And it's refreshing to know that there's a particular candidate who's willing to speak out on the issues.
The things that we're talking about here today, they're inevitable. They're inevitable. We're talking about the direction society must go. So that's why I have this sense of hope and optimism about the inevitability of the triumph of social and economic justice. The question then is not if, but when.
I'm Alex Sanchez, and you're watching In the Life.
Tonight, the second half of In the Life is devoted to the up-and-coming members of our up-and-coming community with the politics of high school.
The students don't want a diversity club. They want a gay-straight alliance.
The fallout of having no place to go.
My daughter did not die in vain. Something is going to be done about this.
And Mrs. Claus' memories of this Christmas past. But first, national audiences may be embracing 5 designing queer guys on television each week. But in hallways and playgrounds across the country and far, far away from the nearest television audience, life is often not very fabulous for kids who are seen as different. In this month's Reel to Reel, filmmaker Deborah Chasnoff reflects on her new film, Let's Get Real.
At this school, there's all kinds of name-calling and bullying.
Most of the fights in middle school come from gossip.
I'm the guy that will pick on you and, beat your ass.
Let's Get Real is a film that is really aimed towards kids who are somewhere between 6th and 9th grade. And what we tried to do in the film is to open up a dialogue about what's really going on for kids at that age group in terms of their experiences with name-calling and bullying.
I've been called a whore.
They've called me bitch.
A queer, dyke, gay, faggot, gay, homo.
Slut.
Nah, nigga. Shut the hell up. I really don't care what you think.
Kids talk honestly about the homophobia pushing them to the brink that they think about killing themselves. They talk honestly about being harassed every day to the point where they have a fantasy of shooting someone. We wanted to make the connections between what's going on and really talk about the power dynamics. What do you get out of bullying another kid? Why are you picking that set of words? What are you trying to get out of it? Finding these kids was quite a project. I'd go into classrooms and ask people, okay, who in this class has had an experience with name-calling or bullying? All the hands would go up. I'd go back into the hallway in a little desk in the corner, and they would pour their guts out to me. And so you're sitting there meeting kids, and every once in a while, I met hundreds of kids to pick the 50 or so that are in the film. And, I would know. Somebody would come across, they'd sit down, and they'd look me in the eye, and, I could feel my heartstrings pulling. One person that stands out for me the most is Jasper. And he's a kid that described being beaten up almost every single day, being harassed relentlessly.
I wouldn't actually do this, but if I had a gun, I just feel like shooting him right in the leg or somewhere really painful. Just see them brain. That's how mad I get sometimes. I'm not to actually kill them. I'd never kill someone, but sometimes I get so pissed at them, I just want to see them in pain. Which is cruel, but I mean, they just push me to the limit.
He was at the premiere of our film, and it was the first time he had seen it, and it was incredible to see him there and how proud he felt to be in it. And he came up to me and he said, I really like this film. I hope it's, can you get it in every school? I think it can make a difference. And, you know, it doesn't get that much better than that when you're a filmmaker. The other person that really stands out for me every time I see the film is little girl, very, very shy.
They go around calling me names like Ching Chang Chang or Bruce Lee's daughter.
He said, well, what does it feel like when that happens to you? And she just sat there for a second, and then she says what she says in the film.
I just like get this fire inside of me that I can't put out. And I just get really angry.
Every time I see that, I get goosebumps.
Most of my friends, they call people like faggots and stuff.
You'd always pick on like kids that seemed gay or acted feminine.
For whatever reason, you know, those anti-gay slurs are like the #1 slur of choice, and kids use it to mean a lot of things.
Gay is the universal word. That's gay, he's gay, she's gay, that teacher's gay, this homework assignment's gay, that pencil's gay, that pen's gay, you know. You could use it for anything. Sometimes people literally do mean gay, and sometimes people mean gay as in stupid.
Okay, ready?
People kept on calling me fag, especially in PE. And it happened every day, all 6, 7 periods. It's just, I can't deal with that, you know? If someone's right next to your ear going faggot, 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 faggot through the entire day, you just want to turn around and talk them.
I say a lot of things to kids, like, I'll swear at them. Like, at the same time, if they're, like, making me mad or aggravating me or something, I'll just say something to them. You just say it right in their face. You never really say it behind their back, because behind their back doesn't get to them. And I don't know, it just gets to them faster if you say it like fag or something.
What we really came to learn and really believe is that there's no kid who is a bully, that, you know, every kid can find themselves at one point or another at a different point on the bullying spectrum. And there are bullying behaviors. But, you know, inside everybody's a human being, and there could be a lot of pressures, a lot of forces pressuring kids that cause them to act out and to be really mean to other kids.
I started calling people gay and faggot. It's because of my stepfather who would call me those things if I was like acting weak or like not doing like the manly thing.
I don't like the way people look at me. Like, it just really aggravates me the way people look at me. And that's basically what it's all about, seeing how pissed off you get the other person.
When we've taken the film and shown it to students, it is the kids who do the bullying that have the greatest impact on the class, because they've never had the experience of hearing somebody who's in that role be self-reflective and also, you know, self-aware enough to change. I think it gives people a lot of hope.
Everyone else I didn't mess with, they didn't want to be my friend. I'd walk up to them, ask how I play basketball. No. They'd be like, no. Be like, why not? You like to pick on people too much. They used to tell me that. What's really inside me, I have a good heart. And like, I don't want people to be thinking I'm a bad person. I see some of the kids I used to bully. We're cool now. We talk, we chill out together. And like, they go about their business, I go about mine.
We've been blown away by the response to this film so far. We've had school districts all over the country calling up, wanting, you know, multiple copies of the film. There's over 50,000 middle schools in the United States. I'd love to get this film into as many of them as possible. You know, I think there is unanimous consensus across the board in this country that bullying and name-calling are out of control. You know, it is, any way you look at the statistics, there's an epidemic, and it is getting worse. And the consequences, no one can afford to ignore. You know, 75% of the school shootings that happen today have been, including the one like at Columbine, have been committed by students who are being harassed, often with anti-gay harassment. And, you know, what happens to kids is that they boil over, and nobody's taking it seriously, and nobody's finding a way for kids to deal with the real issues that are going on. This is a film for people who are willing to go that next step and get real.
According to the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, or GLSEN, a 2001 National School Climate Survey found that 4 out of 5 lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender students experience verbal, sexual, or physical harassment at school. And nearly 1 in 3 reported skipping at least one day of school in the last month out of fear for their personal safety. I'm Pamela Sneed, and you're watching In the Life.
While there may be little protection from bullying in the halls of our schools, the Gay-Straight Alliance movement has given kids a peaceful tool to check the violence they face. But the debate over LGBTQ representation recently took a new turn at Stevenson High School in suburban Chicago. The number of GSAs registered with GLSEN jumped from 1,200 in 2002 to over 2,000 at the beginning of this school year. But last year, Stevenson High School decided they didn't need one.
You hear faggot, you hear all those words. I wouldn't say it is a problem here. I think that it's important and we do address it as much as we can. It's one of our biggest issues in our diversity club.
Lisa Kaplan was a senior at Stevenson and president of the Diversity Club.
A lot of people can't speak up for themselves, and I don't really have that problem, so I'm willing to be an advocate for anyone that doesn't have the confidence to do it for themselves.
The Diversity Club organizes programs to help students be more inclusive of each other's cultures, religions, races, and sexual orientations.
I would challenge a Gay-Straight Alliance to do any more than we're doing.
Talia Stein was a sophomore and an advocate of setting up a Gay-Straight Alliance.
I'm proud to be a member of the Diversity Club, and while they're trying, the students don't want a Diversity Club. They want a Gay-Straight Alliance. It's not really just about what the administration and faculty want.
We want people to understand human rights, we want to understand culture, we want to promote acceptance and valuing each other. The Board of Education and the administrative team had Diversity High on its list of goals that it wished to work on, and so the club was formed in order to address those needs.
The problem with Diversity Club as it stands right now is it's an adult-generated, adult-structured club. The students want a Gay-Straight Alliance. People have been fighting for 6 years for it. You know, petitions have been sent around the school getting over 500 signatures apiece. The interest is there.
Talia says a GSA would give LGBTQ teens and their allies a place together and would do a better job of attacking faculty apathy for their issues.
I understand the reasons for having a Gay-Straight Alliance in a school, but I feel like we cover all of those reasons, plus more. You know, I would challenge any other school to do as much as we do.
Their main argument against a Gay-Straight Alliance is we don't like clubs that overlap in purpose. So we're going to shove everything into one club. But you know, a Gay-Straight Alliance isn't an issue of diversity, it's an issue of sexual orientation and gender identification. Everything is diverse. Ping pong players as opposed to football players is diverse. You know, shove them into the Diversity Club.
This past year, the Diversity Club sponsored educational events for Coming Out Day, National Day of Silence, and National Gay and Lesbian Pride Month.
The Diversity Club has demonstrated that it is doing a great deal to address gay and lesbian issues within the school.
In 2002, Talia applied for and received a grant from PFLAG to set up a separate GSA at Stevenson. But when the school realized the money was not for the Diversity Club's LGBT programs, they gave the money back.
To have a separate Gay-Straight Alliance outside of Diversity Club would overlap in purpose, so we returned the check with great respect.
Lisa says a GSA would begin a process of fragmentation, allowing groups to break off from the larger club.
It factions people off, and we're about, you know, everybody being involved in everybody's cause, not just their own.
We have 4,300 students, and yet the programs are equipped to address the needs of each individual.
That same year, Stevenson was selected as one of America's best public high schools, and while Talia, Lisa, and Janet Jesse all share pride in the school, the issue of how best to combat homophobia still remains unresolved.
Not against Diversity Club. It's kind of a misconception among the administration and members of Diversity Club that I'm not with them, and I am.
Talia is still committed to a separate GSA. She resubmitted her application in December 2003. As of press time, school officials said no decision on the GSA's future had been made.
I don't feel that the two clubs are exclusive of each other. I feel that a GSA and a Diversity Club can coexist quite peacefully and work together really well to achieve the goals that we all want to achieve.
Queer kids, especially kids of color, remain invisible in the mainstream's trendy portrait of gay America. This omission reflects the reality of many of their lives, a reality which, as the 2003 murder of Sakia Gunn illustrated, can have deadly consequences. In the Life goes to Newark, New Jersey to revisit the circumstances that left Sakia and her friends with no place to go. In May 2003, 15-year-old Sakia Gunn was brutally stabbed to death at a bus stop in Newark, New Jersey. The murder galvanized the local LGBT community. Tonight, In the Life looks at a call for change and one community's effort to create it.
A car pulled up and was trying to talk to the girls, telling them to come here, and none of the girls went. So they was telling them, we gay. So the guy got out the car, telling them, why you over here with these fags? They fags. The guy was 29 years old, 5'9", 210 pounds. Anybody in their right mind can see that these children, that these were children. When he put the knife to her neck, she swung at him and got him off of her. Then they went to run again, and he grabbed her, and he just stabbed her in the chest. Valencia said, as she was looking at her in the car and kept saying, don't go to sleep, don't go to sleep, she said her eyes rolled in the back of her head.
When Sakia died in my arms, I immediately went to like a stage of shock. Like, I couldn't believe it.
When Valencia lost Sakia, she went to a very traumatic stage. It was like she was a time bomb getting ready to explode. She really didn't know what to do.
There were so many people in 1 year that I have known that lives have been taken because of something so dumb, something that it shouldn't even matter.
You know, this happens so often here in Newark. It happens so often in the black community. Young black kids get killed every day, all day, every day, any time of day. So I think many of us have become desensitized to the horror of having a young person's life ended that way.
But veteran activist LaQuetta Nelson was so compelled by Sakia's murder that she came out of retirement, founding an organization to do something about it.
The Newark Pride Alliance Incorporated came about as a result of the murder of Sakia Gunn in order to address the issues that were affecting the gay and lesbian community with special emphasis on the youth.
Nelson is focused on finally achieving a long-sought youth center, which would provide a safe place for kids like Valencia to go.
Part of what led up to these young people's deaths is that they've had to go places to neighborhoods and to communities far afield from their home to find places where they felt safe.
All that hatred and all that violence, we don't bring it to New York, especially to the village. You don't bring it there. You leave all that stuff wherever you came from. There you could walk down the street all types of night. You're still gonna be careful, but you really don't have to worry about anyone coming to get you or saying something to you.
In Jersey, we really don't have anywhere to go to be freely with our sexuality. So we come out here to be around people like us.
Rather than seeing this as a national problem that deserves news media attention, this has been treated again as a local crime problem, as a problem that perhaps only the gay media should be concerned about, and the gay and lesbian media has not, as far as I can ascertain, really paid attention to those specific concerns of gay and lesbian and bisexual and transgender youth of color. So all the way around, these kids are invisible and they're dying.
As everyone knows, Sakia was a real close friend of mine. I'm happy to see that people out here fighting against biased crimes. It's a shame that we have to walk down the street not knowing what's going to happen to us.
A very important part of the work that the Newark Pride Alliance has before it, and that's to educate the people about the lives of gay and lesbian people and gay and lesbian children, and how homophobia and hate crimes and name-calling and beating up and things like that, how it affects the children and the people that these acts are directed at, as well as how these acts affect the community as a whole.
The community was further traumatized in the aftermath of Sakia's murder.
After she died, there was a statement that the principal had made, when you live a certain lifestyle, things like this deserve to happen to you. But I didn't hear him say that, so I don't know the truth.
In spite of the alleged attitude of their principal, over 2,000 students attended Sakia's memorial.
In the gay community, we all one family. Anyone fell behind, the other one picks them up to make sure we're right on the same track. There's no one going to be left behind, ever.
The emotion of the day captured almost everyone, including Mayor Sharp James, who attended the services and promised full support to the community center.
He came to the funeral, and that's when he promised us. He said, well, he'll help us get a center. Anything we wanted, he'll help us get it. But ever since that day, you can't even get him on the phone.
After initially agreeing to be interviewed for this story, the mayor's office later declined.
I think the Newark community has failed the gay and lesbian community, not only just the youth, but the adults too, because this has been an ongoing problem for a long time. By now, Newark should have some type of cultural center for the children. It's homophobic.
This issue about a community center is not a new issue. It's something that we've been fighting for many years, but it's taken Sakia's murder to bring the light to these people. Oh, there is a problem there with the young gay, African-American gay and lesbian youth. No, it's not new. This has been going on for a long time.
You would have children standing off the streets wanting to come there to play basketball, wanting to come there to read a book, wanting to come there just sit there and hang out with their friends because they can't hang out in front of their house because they got to worry about a drive-by. It would actually have people come there because they want to do something with their lives.
I don't think that young people today really have a sense that they can make the world better, and they don't really have a sense of what better means. I think they're so confused and so overwhelmed.
In an effort to make Newark a safer place, the Newark Pride Alliance is working in concert with PFLAG to get these issues out of the closet.
Thank you. Although my daughter's physical is not here, it's people like you and everybody that support me that keeps her alive with me. And I thank everything that everybody's helping me do. Thank you. I deeply want the world to know that I am trying to get this center, that my daughter did not die in vain. Something is going to be done about this.
There needs to be a paradigm shift in this state as well as this country with respect to how people in the general public see gay and lesbian people. An image has been implanted in their minds since time immemorial of us being unclean, unwholesome, wicked, unworthy of life.
People fear the unknown. And what people fear, they tend to hate. But if you understand something, you will learn not to fear it. You will learn not to hate it. You will learn probably even to love it or like it.
All those young lesbians and all those young kids that we hugged and tried to console at Sakia's funeral, we promised them that we were going to do something to make things better for them. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to get them a community center so that they can go there and they can gather and feel safe. Because that community center is going to be a place where they can come and not fear that they're going to be hurt in any kind of way.
And finally, Harvey's own take on Santa's Thanksgiving Day surprise.
These words are making me nervous. Well, so far, that's not offensive. Come on, Papa, what do you say? Every now and then you do something that takes on a life of its own. This past holiday season, I came up with a doozy. Last October, I got a call from Macy's. As part of their annual Thanksgiving Day parade, they'd created a new float of a Thunderbird convertible with a giant penguin on the back. How would I like to ride in this year's parade? Sounded pretty lame to me. But then I had a bright idea, an idea I might brag that would shake the nation. As you may already know, in Hairspray, I play a big fat woman who wears a big red dress. I thought, what if that big fat woman was Mrs. Santa Claus? How subversive would that be to have a drag queen appearing as the most famous woman of the season in the most famous parade in America? The parade shot from lame to irresistible. When I told Macy's, they enthusiastically embraced the idea. Not only would I appear in a Mrs. Santa Claus costume on their new float, but they would commission a Christmas song for me to sing. William Ivy Long went right to work on my costume, along with Santa helper outfits for the 3 young ladies who play the dynamites in our show. And our musical director arranged the song for us, and under the watchful eye of Macy's own directors, we pre-recorded it and readied ourselves for the big day. Meanwhile, on the other side of New England, down came the decision on gay marriage from the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. Party time! Not so fast. No sooner had the court found denying us our rights to marry as unconstitutional, the screams of outraged heterosexuals echoed through the canyons of hate known as the media. Marriage is the sanctified union between a man and a woman. The homosexual agenda threatens to destroy our American way of life. Well, we've all heard this before. But this time, I was doubly offended because here was a decision from a court based on a state's constitution written by John Adams, founding father of our nation. These conservative yahoos profess to know what is better for America than John Adams. I don't think so. So I sat down and wrote an op-ed piece for the New York Times. Using my upcoming gig in the Thanksgiving Day parade, I mused, what if Santa really was in a same-sex relationship? Would those political Grinches deny this man who brings the world nothing but joy and goodwill his right to marry? Of course they would, I concluded. And then, using examples of great gay Americans through history, I discussed how our accomplishments are appropriated by heterosexual society while our rights and dignity are denied. I asked, how many heterosexual patriots hold their hands over their hearts as they sing America the Beautiful while never acknowledging that a lesbian wrote those words? We provide the music for countless weddings I put forth, but are denied dancing at our own. Well, the New York Times loved the piece, and they printed it on the day before Thanksgiving. I was too busy doing my Wednesday matinee to notice the doo-doo hit the fan. But by the time I came off stage, there were reporters surrounding the Neil Simon Theater and a flurry of phone calls to answer. Seems Macy's had gotten a couple of calls of complaint. Okay, a couple of thousand calls of complaint, that a man was to be Mrs. Santa in their parade. Macy's denied any such thing was going to happen. According to their 3 press releases, I was not dressing as Mrs. Santa. Edna from Hairspray was dressing as Mrs. Santa. When the press got to me, I, truthfully, had a problem figuring that one out. I mean, I, Harvey Fierstein, am a real person. My character from Hairspray is not, and neither is, oh, I hope the children are out of the room for this, Mrs. Santa. So whether I called myself Harvey, or Edna Turnblad, or Edna St. Vincent Millay, as far as I was concerned, they would be a man dressing as Mrs. Santa Claus in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, period. And we all went about our merry ways. Thanksgiving Day, and for weeks that followed, I read and heard about reports that I'd been tossed out of the parade, that I'd been banned from riding on Santa's sleigh, that I'd been shamed and scolded and told off in no uncertain terms by Macy's, Santa, and the American public. Lies, children. I'm here to tell you it's all lies.
It is Edna Turnblad, otherwise known as Harvey Fierstein.
To the delight of Macy's and the 2.5 million people lining that parade route, I rode on my float as planned, waved to the crowd, and received their hollers and screams of support right back at me. I then sang my Santa song to the tens of millions more who viewed it all on television.
All the children shout with glee, unwrapping toys around the tree, and the bad kids, they get clothes. I should know I got this.
When the parade ended, I was thanked by Macy's, limousined away, and then given a check in payment for a good day's work. They also sent me photos, a thank you note, and this swell laminated plaque to commemorate the day. What I find most shocking about this whole incident is not that the press totally lied about the plain facts, facts that could be verified by anyone simply by watching a television. No, what shocks me most is that not a single newspaper, radio station, tabloid magazine, columnist, or pundit answered the argument I made in my op-ed piece. Not one of them took on the question of how the Bush administration can spend $87 billion bringing freedom to all Iraqi people while seeking legislation to deny basic rights to our own citizens. Not one reporter or commentator questioned the constitutionality of legalizing bigotry. Isn't that a bigger story than a man awash in a sea of balloons and clowns wearing a dress? So what did we learn from this? Two things. The press cannot be counted on to report a story. They are as bright as the person who writes the press release they are reading from. Call them liberal, call them conservative. The American press is as easily distracted as a preschooler. Secondly, if they did actually discuss the merits of our issues, we would win the debate and equal rights could never be denied us. We have the Constitution on our side. They have spin, superstition, and bigotry. So we need to force the debate out into the open. Start writing those letters. Be wary, be vigilant, and always remember that the press is out to sell advertising space, not truth. And something else you have to do as a good citizen. The next time you're at a ballpark and they stand up to sing America the Beautiful, you must elbow the person next to you and say, I just love a good lesbian sing-along, don't you?
I'm Cherry Jones. For all of us at In the Life here at G Lounge in New York City, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month.
In the Life is funded in part by the H. Van Ameringen Foundation. Additional support provided by the Ford Foundation, the Pride Foundation, the Gill Foundation, the Overbrook Foundation, the Ted Snowden Foundation, the Arcus Foundation, the Lily Auchincloss Foundation, the B.W. Bastian Foundation, the Fowler Bombardier Charitable Family Trust, and In the Life members like you.